Justice Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi has given the NPA and her department's legal team 2 weeks to review all extradition cases to ensure that processes are being followed. This comes after the Free State High Court in Bloemfontein ruled that Moroadi Cholota's extradition from the United States last year was unlawful. Cholota was among 17 co-accused in the asbestos removal tender, which former Premier Ace Magashule is at the center of. The court on Tuesday ruled that the power to request extradition was vested in the Justice Minister and not in the National Prosecuting Authority. For more on this, we're joined by Newzroom Afrika's Qaanitah Hunter. And that, Qaanitah, was the central question. Why the National Prosecuting Authority went to the US, made representations when, in fact, in terms of the law, they didn't have the powers to do so.
Absolutely. That's why Judge Philip Loza yesterday saying that the judgment that he based his ruling on, which is the Cholot's judgment, came out 2 months before the NPA went to the United States to make representations with regards to Moroadi Cholota. That judgment by the Supreme Court of Appeal spells out that it is actually the Justice Minister that has vested the power to extradite, and that it's not the National Prosecuting Authority. The matter in question with regards to that judgment was the arrest of a South African-born man, Jonathan Schlotz, who lives in Las Vegas. He is wanted on charges for precious metals, and the SCA made that ruling. Now, you would know that at the time, the NPA sought to take the matter to the Constitutional Court, but then abandoned that challenge. So there's no way that the NPA could not have been aware of that judgment. So Judge Lopes didn't even go into the matters raised by Cholota in her special plea about how she was treated by the NPA, etc., but because he says, on principle alone, that her extradition and therefore her subsequent charging was unlawful.
And that was the case, as you say. Have we heard from I know that yesterday the NPA did say that they were looking at the judgment and were going to make a determination as to the basis on which they could actually appeal the ruling. Have we heard from them since, especially since, you will see in court today that they were and the case is going to, the trial is going to be postponed. But have we heard from the NPA today?
The NPA is simply saying that they are looking at ways to appeal this particular judgment, because obviously the case, the asbestos removal corruption case that has been going on for a while now, is pinned on Cholota being one of not only a witness in the matter, but also a co-accused in this particular matter. But what the Justice Minister is raising is that what are the implications of this judgment for all other extradition matters? You know that the NPA has been found wanting in the past when it came to matters of extradition. We can just recall perhaps the Gupta case, and we know that there are several high-profile extradition matters that the government is currently involved in, whether it's with Swaziland and the alleged killers, Bravuyo, of AKA, who was gunned down, as well as the Bushiri matter. So yesterday, following the judgment, there was an important meeting held by the Justice Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi. Let's hear what her spokesperson had to say about it.
Call a meeting of the National Director of Public Prosecutions and her senior team, including the department's legal team, the Department of Justice, that is, legal team, to understand the challenge. And from that meeting, it emerged that indeed this matter may have an implication on other extradition matters that are before the minister. And the minister requested or directed a review of all the matters that are before her to ensure that the legal process is followed to the T.
So obviously two matters here, Bravo. The first is what are the implications for the actual case, and that's going to be important for the NPA to figure out going forward. And more importantly, what does this mean for all other cases? And it comes at a time where there are legitimate questions around the NPA's handling of state capture matters. As you know, in other high-profile state capture cases, there had been, some sort of fumbling, if you may, and the NPA had been found wanting in other matters. For example, we know in the case of the Estina Dairy corruption case, as well as, Machela Koko and his co-accused in the Eskom matters. And so the question now is, how does the NPA come back from this? How do they build this particular case to ensure that there is a successful prosecution, but more importantly, that they then cross their T's and dot their I's in all other extradition matters, so that you do not have a similar, what many call, embarrassment.
Precisely, because remember, there are also the wider political implications, but also, legal, constitutional, but also diplomatic relations. One would imagine. It would be interesting indeed to find out who actually took such decisions, and based on what, given everything that is at stake legally, constitutionally, and even diplomatically. Let's leave it there for now. Qaanitah Hunter, thank you very much. This is, of course, tracking that story.